my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. So today we have a bunch of very exciting news. We begin with Andor Season 2. The first leaked footage of Cassian and Luthen Rail. This tells me that the second season picks up almost immediately from Season 1, where Cassian's been working with Luthen. They're undercover for the rebellion. They look awesome. As we saw in Chapter 12 Rick's Road, the finale of Season 1, thanks to Marva's speech and Cassian's courage, Luthen had a change of heart. Andor proved his mettle, and the two of them will be working side by side. This was filmed in London. Now the big question, what happens to Luthen by the time of Rogue One? Is he dead? Is he off somewhere else? What happens to him? And is his partnership with Cassian only temporary? These are questions Tony Gilroy will answer in Season 2. Well, you'd hope so. In other news, Ewan McGregor, Ian McDiarmid and Andy Serkis are confirmed for Star Wars Celebration in London. Following this news, a lot of the discourse online has been around whether Ewan's going to be announcing a second season of Kenobi. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but it is huge he's going to be there again. Not to mention the Emperor himself, Granddaddy Palps. We heard him last week in The Bad Batch. He was also in Kenobi, and fingers crossed if we do get a second season, he's going to appear again. And just before we talk about The Bad Batch, guys, we have some more pictures for The Mandalorian Season 3. These just keep on coming. We have Bo-Katan, Greef Karga, Din, not to mention some awesome photos of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. They also tease quite a few things, but I want to save that for a separate video. And so now, my dear friends, onto The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 9, The Crossing. After an incredible mid-season double, which I've spoken about in depth, Episode 9 sounds to me like it's back to Mission of the Week, and I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, it's just the way the season is structured and just what it sounds like. But after Episode 8, the stage has been set for a dark and intense second half to the season. From here on out, we're really focusing on the transition from clones to stormtroopers, and that from the point of view of the clones is not good news. So what does that mean for survivors like Crosshair and others who stay loyal? It's no surprise so many of them are defecting, but how many are not going to get the chance? Probably most, and that is terrifying if we see it on screen. The other day I spoke with Jason at MakingStarWars.net, and he brought up a really good point, that the story of the Bad Batch is actually the story of the clones. That is one of the main points of the series, and I say one of instead of the main point because there are so many others as well. But in many ways, the series is designed to show us the tragedy surrounding what became of the remnants of the Clone Wars, in this case the clone veterans. Of course, it's also advancing Omega's journey, but her facing this loss at such a delicate and fragile time in the galaxy is crucial for shaping who she will become, what she believes in, and where her future lies. Will she join the rebellion? Her sympathy for her fellow clones, especially those who fought in combat, remember she didn't, will stay with her forever. She will never lose that sense of identity, and in later eras of the galaxy, provided she's still alive, she's always going to remember what happened to the clones, how the Empire treated them. She's never going to forget that. Episode 8 was so huge because she learnt injustice. As I said in my full episode breakdown, you can do the right things, say the right things, tell the truth, and still lose. And it goes back to what Hunter said in Season 1, but also at the end of Episode 6, that this galaxy is not fair for kids. Whether it's Omega or Gunji, whoever you are, if you're a kid, you're stripped of that innocence, those childhood experiences that are not meant to be in war, not meant to be in combat, and that is part of Omega's reality. I wonder how she's going to internalize it, because that is going to form such a huge aspect of her personality and character, especially if she's still alive by the time of The Mandalorian, which I believe she is. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I really hope she appears in the Book of Boba Fett Season 2, if we get one of course. In the same way that Boba Fett, all those years later, was still affected by the death of Django, so too will Omega be affected by the dehumanization and eradication of the clones, as well as Echo walking away. She will always have that trauma. And speaking of which, a big question going into Episode 9, are we going to see more of Rex and Echo, or are they done for this season? Will we have a separate storyline for them which cuts into every episode? Or is that story going to be told off screen, alternatively in another spin-off? Now the title itself, The Crossing, does not reveal much. This is the most mission-sounding episode yet, but it could be a misdirect. Might it be a daring journey across a large mass of water, or maybe a symbolic crossing of some kind? I lean towards the former. It sounds pretty straightforward and to the point. Now I wonder if it's going to be a 2-episode arc spread across 2 weeks, with episode 10, Retrieval, because afterwards we have the ominous Metamorphosis on March 1st. That's also the day of The Mandalorian Chapter 17, and here's a reminder that we're now just 2 weeks away from Mando Season 3. That came around so quickly, it's insane. And so now guys, staying on the subject of the Bad Batch, we have an awesome character poster, probably my favourite so far, Senator Riyo Chuchi, the Blue Pantoran who's making a difference for the clones. In case you missed it guys, a couple of days ago, I posted a video about how the Bad Batch Season 2 just set up Andor Season 2, a lot of similar themes, and many of them surround Senator Chuchi, but she looks awesome. Her character design is more intricate, much more detailed compared to the Clone Wars, and I've said this time and time again, the Bad Batch Season 2, if anything else, is fantastic for its animation quality. And so now guys, Keith Kellogg, animation director on the Bad Batch, legend at Lucasfilm, has teased what's to come in the second half of Season 2. In his own words he said, "Man, there's so much still that happens. There's definitely a lot of fun things, whether it's creatures or more clone conspiracy stuff, more returning characters that you might have seen before." So it's not just Cody, it's not just Rex, it's not just Riyo Chuchi, it's not just Rampart, it's not just Mas Amedda. There are more cameos coming, if you want to call them that. They're really not, they're integral to the story, but that's really awesome. Oh, and I should have mentioned Gunji in that list as well, but he says there is more clone conspiracy stuff to come, so we're not out of the woods just yet with that. Just like in their interview with D. Bradley Baker, StarWars.com asked Keith who his favourite member of the Bad Batch is, and he says, Wrecker. In his own words he said, he's probably the most expressive out of all of them, so as an animator, it's always fun to do things a little bit bigger, a little more over the top, maybe a little more than what you'd see in live action. That's probably why I would say he's my favourite. Really awesome stuff guys, and remember tomorrow, I will be posting my full episode breakdown and review. And just a reminder, yesterday, I interviewed Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, who plays Carson Tevra in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. The full thing is up on Patreon, but as promised, I will be posting clips here on the channel, and here is one of him talking about the Bad Batch. Enjoy.
To keep a franchise relevant, you need to start bringing in more fans, and you need it to be accessible in a way that is you cannot get with when you have a gatekeeping sort of community there going, well, if you don't know this obscure fact about this character, you're not really a fan. Like, who wants to be part of that, really? Yeah, and so that's me. For me, it's like it's content. People who complain about, the Bad Batch. Oh, this episode was just an adventure of the week. It's, it didn't really add to the story. It's like, it doesn't have to. You have to remember, these aren't just for adults. Kids, it's animation. It's aimed at kids too. And so, you watch these adventure stories, and that's great. And then you get a couple of episodes like the last two that just dropped, and you're like, wow, okay, that's really cool. And you get a little bit of that for the sort of deep cut nerds and the fans who've just been waiting and want to know what's going on. I think as a fandom, we need to relax and enjoy the ride and like take the win. We've got so much Star Wars content coming out, right? Not everything's going to be for everybody, but man, that's what I love. Star Wars is big enough that it can sustain all these different narratives, from something that is hyper sophisticated like Andor to something that is easily enjoyable and like really, really accessible and entertaining, like The Mandalorian or The Bad Batch, right? And it's not like, oh, this is a lesser Star Wars. It's all Star Wars. It's just got different narratives for different audiences, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
So with that said guys, share your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always.